Hello YouTube, and today, as you may have already guessed from the background, I am bringing you my Zark deck profile. Now, I've seen a lot of different variants of these. Everyone seems to play them differently, and it seems that the Pendulum Evolution set has actually been pretty good, to be completely honest. I know I said I enjoyed it already, but yeah, it seems to have paid off for a lot of people. Now, I'll get into the extra deck first to show off what that is, because it seems that everyone's extra deck is a little bit different, and mine again is different. So obviously we have Supreme King Zark, so I have 2 copies of him. I've seen decks running 1 copy, I've seen decks running 3 copies, so it's up to you what you want to run really. So next I have Triple Time Star Magician. As you know from the box opening from Pendulum Evolution, I pulled a lot. So then we have Odd Eyes Meteor Burst Dragon, 2 of them, Odd Eyes Absolute Dragon, 2 Odd Eyes Vortex Dragon, Kachikochi Dragon, because there's plenty of level 4 monsters in this, so why not really? And then an Enlightenment Paladin, because in all fairness it's easy to play with this deck, it really is. So for the main monsters of the deck, there's a lot of them. So we have Triple Astrograph Sorcerer, Triple Chronograph Sorcerer, for both of which for summoning Zark, and because in all fairness they're pretty good cards. Triple Double Iris Magician, because they're level 8, scale 8 pendulums, and again they're level 4, so easy XE summoning. And naturally you need them for Astrograph Sorcerer and Chronograph. Interesting point actually. For the effect for Astrograph Sorcerer, it says Pendulum, XE, Synchro, and Fusion in their names, which the magician equivalent of the pendulum of the heavenly dragons even. They all have this effect here, if the camera will focus a bit. This card is always treated as a Pendulum Dragon, that's for Double Iris Magician, but it doesn't say in its name, which I got quite confused about, because, well, you can't really use him with Astrograph Sorcerer then, can you? But I've seen a few people playing, sorry for the sniff, I got a bit of hay fever. I've seen people playing with this deck, and they still use the Astrograph and Chronograph Sorcerer abilities even with them. So it must be fine, right? But anyway, on with the monsters. We have Purple Poison Magician, 3 of them. I have 3 of each, put it that way. I've seen a few people only using 1 White Wing Magician, or 2 even, because its effect isn't quite as good as the others, because if it's Pendulum summoned, and then used for a Synchro, it's banished instantly, so it makes it automatically gone, and you can't use it with Astrograph or Chronograph, which is a bit odd. So yeah, but I have 3 of them anyway, because my deck seems to work with it, to be completely honest. I've tested it a few times, taken a few cards out, added a few different cards in, and deck works quite well for me now. And then Triple Black Fang Magician as well. Then on to the other cards, we have Triple Supreme King Gate 0, and Infinity, because ever since I made the changes to this deck a few days ago, it is much easier to play Zark with it now, because I took a few cards out that were always stacking in my hand, which some people who have this deck already will probably know what I'm on about. But yeah, so it works a lot better now. I had a test with it last night and it absolutely destroyed the deck I put it up against, which was interesting. Anyway, then Double Harmonizing Magician, because that is an instant Xyz or Synchro Summon. As soon as you play it, it's great. So you get into Enlightenment Paladin or Time Star Magician. It's up to you, really. So you have Oath Dragon Magician, to get Magician Pendulum monsters, or Odd Eyes, but there's no Odd Eyes in this deck. So Magician Pendulum monsters in your graveyard, and you get to add it to your hand. Then Triple Supreme King Supreme King Dragon Darkworm, which lets you get the Supreme King Gate cards to your hand, hence why I have 3 of them. Then we have Wisdom Eye and Dharma Eye Magician, two pretty good cards. And just for the hell of it, I've got Rescue Hamster in here, because why not? Its pendulum effect is you can banish this card from your pendulum zone and add 2 face-up pendulum cards with the same name from your extra deck to the hand, which isn't bad, to be honest, because if you've got, say, a Supreme King Gate Infinity in your hand and you need a 0, and you've got 2 on your extra deck, then boom, you've got them in your hand again. So it's pretty good, really. Anyway, onto the spell cards now. Alright, so I did originally have 3 of these in here. It's the new spell card featuring Astrograph Magician. I gotta say, the artwork in these new cards as well is really good. It's a really cool artwork. But yeah, we have 2 of these, so Star Pendulum Graph. I'm not sure which is the better of the 2 out of Time Pendulum Graph, to be completely honest. What this one lets you do is if, say, one of your pendulum, if a magician wins, so any of the others leaves the field. Sorry. It lets you bring a different one from your hand, from your deck to your hand. So, say if Double Iris Magician goes to the field, goes to the graveyard, you can get, say, I don't know, Black Fang Magician from your deck. It's that simple, basically. So yeah, 2 of them. I did have 3, but as I said about the stacking earlier, they tended to stack in my hand, and exactly the same can be said for Time Pendulum Graph, because there were just too many. So next we have Pendulum Call, naturally because, well, this is off the ban list now, it's great, but naturally because it's a good spell card, and there's plenty of, is it specifically magicians? Yeah, it has to be magicians, so that's not sorcerer or astrograph sorcerer or chronograph sorcerer, but it's any of the others, and there's 12 of them basically, because I have 3 copies of each and there's 4 of them. So yeah, anyway, we have Double Amazing Pendulum, because cards are going to be on top of the extra deck a lot. Pendulum Storm, it's not a bad card really, but there's only 1 of them. I did have 2 Ultra Polymerization, as you may have seen in my Blue Eyes deck profile when I showed off what I was thinking about doing, but brought it down to 1 because, again, this was stacking in my hand all the time and I couldn't use it because I was getting it too late, or I just didn't want to use it at that point in time. Pendulum Shift, just because why not? Dragon's Mirror, this is good because of those magician monsters counting as dragon type monsters all the time. If you have all 4 of them in your graveyard, you can just activate Dragon's Mirror and boom, you've got a Zark on the field. It's that simple. And yeah, it's an awesome card. Odd Eyes Fusion, because why not? Because it is effectively polymerization, just with an extra effect that you can use 2 Odd Eyes monsters in your extra deck. So if you, say, have Vortex Dragon on the field and Dragon, say, Supreme King Dragon Darkworm, you can then instantly use Odd Eyes Meteor. Oh, hang on. Oh, if you control no monsters. Sorry, I was going off on one there without even thinking about it. But yeah, it's not a bad one to use because you could combo it with Dragon's Mirror, really. Say by using Absolute Dragon and Meteor Burst Dragon to fuse into Vortex Dragon, then using Dragon's Mirror to fuse all 4 of them, because with Dragon's Mirror you can fuse in your graveyard because everything's removed from play anyway. But yeah, that wouldn't be bad. Just a generic polymerization then, because why not? Scapegoat, this is one of the newer cards I added in because I guess it's just there as an emergency backup. If you've got nothing on the field and you're up against a wall and you draw Scapegoat, you've got 4 attack barriers, so it's not too bad. Double MST, just in case. Burden of the Mighty, which I always find is a very annoying card for your opponent, because unless they're using a pure Xyz deck, Zark would instantly lose, say, 1200 attack points. Unless it doesn't affect it. I'm not entirely sure about that. I hate the whole targeting, can't target ability, because it ends up getting confusing. But anyway, and then Boogie Trap for the last one, because it's handy with, say, like Call of the Haunted, Pendulum Reborn, which, spoilers, they are in here. Anyway, onto the trap cards now. Just to finish off, we have Double Time Pendulum Graph, as I said. This is a pretty good card, to be honest. Its main effect being you can target 1 Magician Pendulum monster in your Pendulum Zone or Monster Zone. I read them the other way around, but it doesn't matter. and one card your opponent controls destroy them. Then, if this effect did not destroy 2 cards, you can send them 1 card on the field to the graveyard, which is an awesome effect because if you use it with, I think it's Time Star Magician. Yeah, once per turn, if a pendulum card in your monster or pendulum zone would be destroyed by battle or card effect, you can send 1 spellcaster from your deck to the graveyard instead. Which basically means, if you have that on the field and you use Time Pendulum Graph, you can save your own card and then just destroy 2 of your opponents and get a card in the graveyard. So say one of the 4 magicians, and then you've cleared 2 cards off your opponent's field for the price of nothing. It's a good card to use, it really is. Then we have Echo Oscillation. Basically it's a different kind of card. It lets you destroy your own pendulum zone, but in exchange you get to draw a card. So you've got a bit of a draw mechanic going. And it's only once per turn, and you can only use the effect of Echo Oscillation once per turn, which means... Sorry, I burped. I do have 2 of them in this deck, but you can't stack them. So you can't destroy both of your pendulums and then draw 2 cards, for example. It's annoying, but I can see why. Double Pendulum Reborn, no explanation needed here. Same for Call of the Haunted. Pendulum Switch is quite handy because it lets you, say if you want to use Astrograph's ability and you have a white wing in the pendulum zone, you can then use Pendulum Switch to bring it out and then use Astrograph's ability. So it kind of helps. Unwavering Bond, just in case your opponent is also using pendulum cards, lets you negate the activation of a pendulum monster's effect, or an effect of a card in the pendulum zone, and then destroys it. Oh, actually it banishes it, which is even worse. Ooh, ouch. Hate to be up against that. And then just break away, because why not? Yeah, so that is my Zark deck profile. A little bit different to the ones I've viewed already. Yeah, that's about it really. So yeah, I hope everyone has enjoyed this video. Please do like and subscribe for more, because well, there always will be, and considering what I just said, there will always be more, there will actually be more, because I have already pre-ordered my Battles of Legend Light's Revenge booster box, which I'm looking forward to. I think that's going to be a really good set. I think it considering we don't know much about it at this point, I think it could be better than Pendulum Evolution. Now a lot of people end up saying, well, that's easy, it was a crap set. But I don't think it was that bad. I think Pendulum Evolution was a lot better than people were expecting. So again, it's your own view, what you think there, but well, you can think what you want basically. Anyway, as I said, please do like and subscribe for more, because there always will be. I am the Duelist with the Eyes of Blue, and have a good weekend, everybody. I know it's only Thursday, but why not? Have a good weekend. Bye.